They moved like shadows, struck in silence, and left behind bodies torn by claws. But these weren't wild animals. These were men. Men who believed they were leopards, agents of ancestral justice, cloaked in myth, driven by fear, and soaked in blood. This isn't just a story of ritual. It's a story of terror, control, and belief forged in the deep forests of West Africa. This is the story of the Leopard Society. The Leopard Society didn't print pamphlets. It didn't hold public sermons or wear matching robes. It hid in the shadows of the West African rainforest, and it ruled by fear. From Nigeria to Sierra Leone to Liberia, this secret society claimed justice as its mission, but death was its currency. Its members believed they could take on the powers of the leopard, the apex predator of the forest. Through ritual, costume, and blood, they crossed the line between human and beast. They had no single leader, no one prophet, but they had rules, and if you broke them, you were marked. Victims were found clawed, dismembered, their organs removed. Authorities blamed animals. Locals knew better. They spoke in whispers of masked men in leopard skins, of midnight courts, of executions carried out in silence. To outsiders, they were monsters. To some insiders, they were protectors, depending on which side of the jungle you stood. To understand how the Leopard Society began, you have to understand its roots. Long before colonizers arrived, West African cultures believed in the power of shapeshifting, that certain humans could become animals, not symbolically, literally. The leopard wasn't just feared, it was sacred, a symbol of strength, cunning, and swift justice. So when justice failed, when a chief became corrupt, when a betrayal went unpunished, the Leopard Society stepped in. Initiates were often elders, warriors, or spiritual leaders. To join, you swore secrecy. You performed rituals. Sometimes you killed. It wasn't random. It was targeted. To the leopard men, they weren't murderers. They were judges. But as colonialism spread and tribal systems fractured, the society changed. Justice became personal. Retribution became power. And fear became control. By the early 1900s, the Leopard Society was no longer just a whisper. It was a problem. Villagers found bodies torn apart in ways no animal could manage. Hands were severed. Hearts were missing. But there were no gunshots. No screams. Just claw marks. In Sierra Leone, British officers began to investigate. They called it ritual murder. They raided villages, captured suspects. Some confessed. Others vanished. Testimonies spoke of ceremonial dens, leopard masks, wooden claws sharpened to razors. Victims chosen by secret courts. But not everyone the Leopard Society killed was guilty. Sometimes it was political. Sometimes it was vengeance. Sometimes it was just fear. They believed the leopard spirit guided them, that the killings served a higher order. But to the outside world, it was madness. And madness, they believed, had to be stopped. The tipping point came in the 1940s. In Nigeria and Liberia, colonial forces launched a full crackdown. Hundreds were arrested. Trials were public. The British wanted to make an example. In court, accused leopard men described detailed rituals. They claimed they transformed, that they became leopards in spirit, and sometimes in flesh. But belief wasn't a defense. Many were executed, villages burned, temples destroyed. And yet, the killings didn't stop, because the Leopard Society wasn't a building. It wasn't a person. It was an idea, a myth, a shadow. And you can't kill a shadow. Part of what made the Leopard Society so terrifying wasn't just what they did, it was the mystery around who they were. You never really knew. It could be your neighbor, your chief, your best friend. No one spoke about it. No one admitted to seeing anything. The silence was as chilling as the crimes. That uncertainty, that fear that anyone could be involved, made the Leopard Society feel more like a curse than a cult. By the 1960s, the Leopard Society had all but vanished from public view. But stories still linger. In some regions, villagers still avoid the forest at night. Children are told not to stray, not because of animals, but because the leopard men might return. Modern scholars debate what the Leopard Society really was. A cult? A vigilante court? A resistance movement? Maybe it was all of them. It existed in the blurred space between justice and horror, between tradition and terror. And even today, deep in some forests, you might find a shrine, a paw print in the mud, or hear a story of a man who vanished and a claw that left no tracks. Because belief doesn't need proof, it only needs fear. The Leopard Society reminds us that sometimes the scariest cults don't need leaders or churches. Sometimes they only need a mask. Thanks for watching Join or Die TV. Subscribe for more stories of cults, control, and the strange side of history. And tell us in the comments, what cult should we tell next?